Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast, featuring James Creviston and Luke LaCoy. Yeah, we're about to get clean up in here, so clean your mouth out with a bar of soap and get ready for the Clean Comedy Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's James. This is the Clean Comedy Podcast, and today I'm with my co-host, Mr. Luke LaCoy.
Hey.
And we have an amazing guest all the way from down under. Now, before I jump into this, I want everyone to know, if you can see my background here on YouTube, this is not a slight at anybody. I don't want anyone to think that I don't know the difference between countries. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware, because I know someone's going to be like, well, that doesn't fit Australia. I'm like, yes, I know. I get it 100%. So please don't hate on me. But I wanted to at least let you guys know that I know. So, and today we have a very special guest, like I said, from down under, from Australia, all the way from Australia. We didn't fly him here or anything. He's just doing it all remotely, just so you know. The very funny, the very talented, the very clean Christian comedian, Uncle Nath. And we unmute. Are you there?
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us all the way from Australia.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back. I feel like I know you guys. I've been listening to your podcast for years, and yeah, it's really
I
weird.
appreciate that. I love Australia. I've been there. I've been to Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney. So I've been, and I think I've been all around the world. I think that Australian people are probably the friendliest people I've ever met in my life, which is probably the funniest thing to say if people know the history of Australia, right?
Yeah, that's
right.
True.
Because it was a penal colony.
Yeah, we didn't really want to be here originally. Yes, we were all convict sons and daughters of convicts.
What I love, Australia is the real world version of when life gives you lemon, make lemonade.
That's true. We did the best we could.
Some of the best, nicest, most amazing, kind people I've ever met in my life were in Australia, and they're so just giving, and I don't know, it was the best place. Every time someone's like, what do you think the best, where would you live if you couldn't live in America? And I'm always like, oh dude, I just go to Australia. Everyone's so nice there.
Yeah, it is pretty chilled out. I think it's I don't know, people are just pretty relaxed. I don't know. It's it's hard to explain. That's sort of I don't know, people are very relaxed. It's kind of like ambition and sort of drive is almost frowned upon. People are just very oh, whatever. We'll just see what happens. I don't know.
Well, isn't it also half of the country you can't live because it's just the outback, it's just wilderness?
Yeah, really small amount of livable. A lot of people go, you got so much land. It's sort of. It's kind of like when you drive from California and you head inland. A lot of Australia is just like that. Yeah. Nobody really wants to live there.
Yeah, nobody wants to live in Bakersfield or any of that stuff either.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but people have to live there. I don't know why.
It's exactly like that. Especially 80% of our country is Bakersfield. Bakersfield.
That sounds that you're scaring people away from Australia.
That's true.
I don't want to go to a place where it's 80% Bakersfield. That sounds terrible.
Sounds great, mate. Can't wait to get there.
So how have you been holding up in Australia? Because we're in America, right? And everybody, the COVID thing is all around the world. But how have you been holding up there? How does this situation affecting you and affecting comedy in Australia? Because we don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it has stopped everything, really. I pretty much just spent, all of sort of the start of the year just cancelling events, church shows and stuff like that. So really, yeah, it's really just tanked the whole thing for comedy. And we haven't had it as bad as you guys. There's not as many people catching it. But we live on an island, and it seemed like we got a really big warning. We sort of were seeing what was happening around the world, and then we're like, oh, maybe we should take this seriously. Because nobody was taking it seriously at first. We were just oh, some weird things happening in China. It's terrible for them. Yeah, they just didn't really. No one really cared. You were just well, okay. But then I can remember when it was we hardly had any cases in Australia, and we were like, hang on, what? There's 30,000 people in New York City in hospitals in Central Park. What? You know, it was like, oh wow, this is. So then Australia started just shutting down airports, and we were able to, you know, not stop it, but you know, really small numbers compared to the rest of the world. But still, you know, it feels still like you know, you can't let this thing off the leash. So yeah, I don't know. Right now, I don't know. I can't really see a future where we'll be doing. Churches will be like, hey, let's do a comedy outreach event. Let's see if we can pack the joint. Come on, this will be great. So I really don't know whether they'll ever come back. It's sort of, I'm not sure how it's going to happen. So,
what's your plan then? What is your attempt to do comedy at this point now that you don't know what's going to happen? Like, what are you trying to do to change and maneuver here?
Yeah, well, I've actually started using YouTube for the first time. I'm the only comedian in the world that's like, this YouTube, I don't think it's going to take off. I don't know whether it's going to be a thing. But partly it's unnatural for me. Like, it doesn't, I don't know, like, you know, like I just put a whole bunch of COVID-19 jokes up on my YouTube channel, and it's so creepy, you know, like that'd be normally my like open mic set, and you go, okay, that one's funny, that one's not funny, that one's okay. But it's just like, I'm just putting it out and no idea. I don't know if anyone's laughing at all. I don't know if anyone's laughing at one of the jokes. So it's really, I don't like it. It's creepy, but I'm starting it. I'm committed to doing one clip every week. Just stuff.
You should take some of your sets that you already have from other shows and put them on TikTok. Did you listen to the TikTok episode?
Yeah, I heard that last week. TikTok, yeah.
Yeah, you should. Luke can coach you. I mean, he does. That's his thing now.
Like, it's 2020, and I'm just slowly walking into YouTube. This crazy new thing called YouTube. So I think TikTok could be that's my black belt.
Well, I just did a thing called Laugh Lounge. There's an app that Laugh Lounge, and they do shows, and they wanted like open mic submissions, but I didn't know. Here's how stupid I am. I read all the rules, okay? But I didn't know you could take a set that you've already done in front of a crowd and send that in. So I recorded a fresh set in my house, in my own setup, doing all my things, and because there's no laughter, it feels like I'm bombing, right? That's what it feels like when you watch it. And then every other comedian that sent in a clip had their clip from like a thing that they did in front of a crowd before all this, and they sent that. And I was like, well, that's not fair. Like, I thought it was supposed to be you just talk. But here's the great news. I have a fan base, and I rallied my fan base to go vote for me. So I'm winning in votes, even though I have the worst set out of that group. I have the worst set, but I'm winning in votes. Great. So we'll see what happens there.
I mean, that'll work. That's usually how. Isn't that how comedy competitions work normally? Like the worst set wins. Isn't that how it always works?
You have to be the most people.
I mean, that guy wasn't funny, but he reminded me of my cousin or something. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, you'd probably win it. That's the tactic.
I would love it. Right now I'm in the lead, so we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen.
You know, that's a good idea. Just online. I've seen a few online comedy competitions. Just write a joke and sling it at them. What else?
It's hard
really,
though.
It puts you. I was like, you know, like at first I've got like 45 followers on YouTube. I've done 2 clips in like 5 years.
Dude, that's awesome.
But like, I actually was. I'm like, I'm not gonna do new jokes for those 40 people. And then I'm like, hang on, I used to do live gigs for like 15 people. It's just like, what am I talking about? That's a rocking crowd, 40 people.
That's a good laughter.
So these like 40 long-suffering Uncle Nath fans are about to get swamped in content. I'm just pumping it out now.
I think I'm being serious though. I think what you could do right now, because you have a lot of your sets recorded and stuff from events that you've done. Just cut them into. How long do they have to be, Luke? How long do the TikTok videos?
It can be anywhere from. Well, it just has to be under a minute. But
under a minute.
Kind of like the sweet spot is around 15 to 20 seconds.
Why is that a sweet spot?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because
just
the
like
attention.
One little tight joke.
because people's attention, they can't
Yeah.
they can't handle more than that.
20
Um,
seconds.
But I mean, we've had good results from 20-second clips and also minute clips because like, I mean, all of us, I know James, myself, David, we like telling stories, so it's so hard to. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just take 15 seconds out because then you lose context of the setup. So yeah, like minute clips are fine. Uh,
There you
that
go.
would be a really good thing to do. Just throw some, and then we just want to structure it so it's like it has a good setup and then a clear end.
Yeah,
And,
like a little tiny story.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that could be cool.
Have you done any?
If I start a TikTok, my mates are gonna just be giving me hell.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? How do you handle the?
I mean,
I'm not socially isolated enough as it is.
times are tough.
Have you done any Zoom shows or any private events via Zoom or via like Skype or any of those things?
No, I haven't done that. Have you guys done that? Is that?
Yeah, we've done some private shows or some other show. I've done two clubs and a private gig via Zoom, and it was okay, but it's tough because the delay hurts. Like you could say a joke, and when you say it, then if someone starts laughing or speaking, it cuts, and then you get that, but you might already be ready to move on to the next bit. So you have to kind of learn to deal with the delay. Yeah,
that would be tricky. It's a bit like doing like a big gig when like it's amazing how you have to slow down so much. Like if you like it's when you do like I've done like conferences before.
When you sell out stadiums, you sell out stadiums.
Yeah. Like, how long do you do radio shows? You gotta really pace yourself. But like, especially, people are, they're usually like, if it's like a church conference and there's like all these intelligent speakers and then they just bang me in the middle somewhere, just to dumb down the whole event, put the public school kid out there. But it's like it's usually set up so weird. People are sitting really far away and people are over there and people are over there. It's sort of really set up weird and you just got to slow it right down. Like,
well, the other thing with church is you don't have that low ceiling though, and church was
church gigs
it's too big.
Oh man, church gigs are really tough, like when you do clubs or open mics, everyone's like right in front of you. Usually on a stage that you could just like hardly even turn around. And it's just, I don't know, everything about it works. I mean, that was the thing. Before COVID, I did about 2 or 3 really kind of like terrible gigs, in churches. And I was just sort of thinking like, why am I doing this? Man, these church gigs. Like I kind of believe in it. I feel like it's a good way to get, well, I didn't grow up in church. So I like the idea of getting people who wouldn't normally go to church to come to church for once. But the gigs are set up so badly, like people often like, there's the rooms, churches are really wide and there's people sitting everywhere. And then like sometimes they're even like besides you. And there's people like even like they like the stage is here and they wrap around. And then there's like 200 seats and they've got 70 people there. So everyone sits at the back and, and then you're getting introduced by the youth pastor who's kind of threatened by you because he's the funny guy in the church. So he introduces you something like, this guy claims to be funny. Like, I've just done so many like terrible gigs. And so it's almost like when COVID happened, I was like, I might never do comedy again. And I'm like, yeah, like it felt a bit like a relief. Like, because I was busy writing stuff. I was going back to churches. I need a lot of new material and it's like, but yeah, it's church gigs. They can be really, they're just not, I mean, when you get back into a room that's been set up by somebody who knows comedy, it's so good. Like, it's so much, it's like, oh, this is nice. Like everything's set up to win. Yeah. Whereas,
so have you been writing then during this time period? Have you been writing new jokes or working on new material?
I didn't for ages. And then, a comedian friend of mine was like, oh, you should come over to the thing called the Perth Fringe Festival. It's like a big comedy festival in Perth. And he's like, let's get over there and we should start writing. His name is Michael Connell. He's a Australian comedian. He's a clean comedian. He's brilliant. He's a really funny guy, Michael Connell. and he was like, "Hey, let's just start writing so that when this is over, we can." And so we've started sending each other jokes, working, and that sort of it's got me back doing it. And then that's why I started thinking about the positives of COVID, and I just had about 50 something positives of COVID. Yeah, once you get going, you can't, especially simple premises like that, you can just start. And then I started putting out, but I'm thinking I can use YouTube as an open mic,
Yeah.
which is probably not how it works, but it's, you kind of go, oh, that clip got more likes, but you don't get the feedback of individual jokes. You don't know whether they endured the first three and then thought the last one was funny.
Then they turned it off.
Yeah, you don't get.
Well, I mean, the good thing is you can go and look at statistics like how long they've been viewing the video. So if like your video is 3 minutes, but it's the average watch time is 2 minutes, you know that somewhere in that 2 minutes you lost them. So you can kind of gauge this stuff. So that's good. But there's not a lot of feedback. Even when people leave comments, sometimes they're just like, "Great stuff," and then you're like, "Okay, which part was great? Like, tell me what was great. Like, I need to know."
Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up.
And it could be like you tried your best.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. What's so funny is what you said a minute ago about like you were kind of relieved that this and like that you may never do comedy again. But believe it or not, I've heard a lot of comedians say the exact same thing. So, I was working myself. I didn't feel like I was going anywhere. I felt like I was spinning, and this happened. And now I'm like, you know what? I may never do comedy again. And I'm like, part of me goes, the competitive portion of me goes, yeah, get out, Yeah. But the comedian and comedy lover in me, which is the bigger part of me, goes, no, don't do that. Like, we need more funny people. Like, we need more. And it's such a weird thing. Like, you are going to go back though, right? You are going to go back and do comedy after this?
Yeah, it's hard to not, it's hard to get it out of you, and you keep thinking of stuff that's bugging you, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to write that down. Like I went to a shopping mall, and when I left the shopping mall, I got hit $8 for parking. Like, they have a 1 hour parking. And I was like, what? $8? And I rang up the guy and I was like, man, $8, that's too much. And he's like, oh, we'd love your feedback. Could we send you a questionnaire? It's just like, they literally sent me a questionnaire of like, we're trying really hard to do great customer service. And I was like, really? Like, you were sitting around a boardroom and someone said, what if we charge $8 just to come in here? Customers would love that. And so it's like, then I've started writing this whole bit about this meeting that they had where they thought, you know what customers would really love? When they buy their coffee, we smack them with an $8 parking charge. Woo. So then I actually filled out the questionnaire, like, what didn't you like about it? I'm like, $8. It's like, how could we improve that? And I'm like, $7? Like, it's just so dumb. Like, the world is so dumb. I think, how could you not do comedy? Because it's so dumb. It's like the whole world's set up to irritate you,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Luke, did you have a question? So you started saying
I was wondering, do you need a certain level of people on YouTube to go live? Do you know, James?
Oh,
no, you don't need a certain amount to go live. You only need a certain amount to monetize. So it has to be 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So and then you can monetize. But you can go live. But I don't think live views count towards your monetization, count towards your 4,000 watch hours. I believe that's what I read.
Okay.
Like a live. That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
because
we've done an open mic on YouTube Live, but I think that would be almost more fun to do like a open mic workshop, and then you like run a joke, get the feedback from whoever's on there, run a joke, get the feedback, and then get constructive criticism or bad or whatever, hate. But it'd be cool to have like a small little group and do that. I could see like that'd be pretty beneficial for comedians, because it's like the closest to an open mic that we can get.
Yeah, that would be cool, and that would be more fun too, because people would be saying, they'd be typing weird crap at you, and then you'd be able to riff off that.
Yeah,
because what's the thing? One of the things about comedy, like, I wouldn't miss is like, especially doing church comedy, you're always upsetting really sensitive people who are like, they're kind of, this comedian's come to their church and nobody basically asked them if they were happy with it. And then they're watching it through the lens of like, is that Christian? And it's kind of like, I guess that's the tension between being clean comic is it's like, I am a Christian and I'm a bad person. Like I am a Christian and I like get angry about stupid stuff and I'm, and that's the thing I feel that's really hard is like, even with the COVID-19 jokes I was put up, oh, I'm glad you find that people dying is funny. It's like, yeah, moron. That was the angle I was going for, Like, isn't it hilarious that people are dying? Like, that sort of stuff I find tiring. Just being a comedian in 2020. And especially because I touch a lot of kind of woke things just to poke the bear a bit. And what I find funny with Uncle Nath is, what's that beeping noise?
Not me.
Must be something. But yeah, I'm not very good at technologies. One of the things that's like you can't really, I don't know. It's just tough doing that and dealing with that at the same time, and you have this tension between like doing what you think is funny and then try not to rock the boat too much. And it's just like, I don't know, it just makes it tough. I don't think I'd missed that balancing act, Can you guys hear that beeping noise?
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Anyways. Dude, that was so annoying.
It got lower for a second.
It did. It sounded like it went away, and then it came right back. It's like, nope, I'm not gone.
Oh, good. I don't know what, man. I don't know. It sounds like someone's ringing me, but I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't miss that. I wouldn't miss that sort of thing. And I feel like, I feel like comedy has to just go right to the edge a bit to even be slightly interesting. And you have to touch the sacred cows every now and then. Otherwise, we're just listening to a guy talk.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a TED Talk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that's where a lot of comedy is going, in that direction, where it's like, it's... And I find it really funny that this, like my wife's an academic, so her circle of friends is just super educated. I didn't finish high school. And like, I love putting Uncle Nath off the woke deep end of the swimming pool and let him see if he can get out without upsetting the world. And I find that super funny. Me accidentally saying the wrong thing all the time.
Yeah.
But then, you always got to deal with people like, who like, they just miss it. Like they don't, like I'm trying to be the villain. Like I'm being the buffoon. Like,
yeah.
That's
what comedy's about. Comedy is breaking the norms, the boundaries that we've all set, and making fun of the things that we all think are so protected and so important, and they're not. That's why observational comedy grew for so long with Jerry Seinfeld, because he really just made fun of the benign, annoying small things in life that we're all used to, and for some reason we all follow it and pay attention. But it's just so annoying that he brought it up to us and said, why does this thing keep happening? And you're like, oh yeah, why does that happen? Like that is annoying. I always think it's annoying to myself, but I'm just never going to say it out loud, because who cares really? We just move on with our lives. But I think that's
taking the risk too, to be the, I feel like that's one of the things where comedy's going away from that, is like you just sharing your sort of inner darkness.
Yeah.
I think comedy's kind of going away from that. It's like, so many comedy I see now, it's like, oh, let me tell you about the time I said the right thing. Yeah. And then let me tell you about the time I corrected the person who said the wrong thing. And let me it's just kind of like, oh, I want to like cut myself. I can't listen to this stuff. And then all these, the comics that just are killing it on Netflix, they're all like old guys.
Yeah. The
You know
guys
what I
just say the
mean?
wrong
Like,
thing.
it's like, where's the like 25-year-old Bill Burr? Or
He doesn't exist, man. That's the thing, is he doesn't exist. And that's the hard part about comedy, especially if you're gonna do comedy in churches, is breaking those rules or breaking those societal norms is a big faux pas, especially in a church, right? In a club, even if you're a clean comedian, you could break the faux pas and keep it clean, because most of those people aren't. You're not doing it in a church. So that's the difficult line that you walk working in a church like that. But I think that you, if you do it right, which sounds like you do it right, that you'll be able to be successful, and you have been successful. So I think you just gotta, for you're walking a tightrope every time you do those church shows.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm slightly leaning towards just make it funny.
Yeah.
Which probably makes you less bookable in churches. So I feel like I'm creating this like extremely small audience where it's like people who like clean comedy and it be wrong, clean and wrong, and Christian and messed up, and clean Christian immorality. It's like how small can you make your potential audience?
If you were a Southern clean Christian comedian, after you said you did something bad, you could just be like, "Bless my heart," and then you could move on, and you'd win.
Oh man, it's like, that's the thing with that's the thing about Christian comedy, that just, it's so painful sometimes. It's like, I've got to confess something to you, and then it'd be something like he was jealous. Yeah, wow, going out on a limb there. Good people.
So where do you think comedy is going to be after this is all over? Like, if someone said to you, Nate, you have to predict to me what comedy is going to be like after this is all over. What is your prediction? What are you seeing, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, don't know. I can't really see how, how it's in comedy, it's so important that the crowd is bunched together and that everyone's packed in. I'm trying to imagine like comedy spread out. I don't know. I think the only thing is if it really just goes away, like if COVID goes away, or if people just completely lose their fear of it. I think once, I don't know anyone personally who's had it, but like Tom Hanks seems all right. I think. I mean, if it got to the point where everyone had COVID and 99% of the people were like, I had a sore throat, or I've heard people in the news like they didn't even know they had it.
Yeah.
If it's like I didn't even know I had it, who cares? So the only thing is if maybe it like got to the point where it was like, people just, I think that I would get it back to normal. But I don't know, man. I think in some ways it's pure. I know for me, I feel like it's kind of like purified my writing a bit. Like I'm almost writing now thinking I'll never perform this.
Wow.
Or, as before it was like you're trying to write comedy that is funny enough that your average Joe who's never been to church will laugh at it, and clean enough that it'll get through the pastor who's booking you. And now I'm almost like, I'm just going to put stuff on YouTube. I don't care. Book me, don't book me. It's almost like there's no such thing as live comedy. So I feel like I'm writing in more of a freer way now. So
I was going to say, it sounds like you kind of freed yourself there. And what about clubs? Are clubs closing in Australia, like for good? Do you know there any comedy clubs that are closing for good?
I don't think they're closing for good, but they must be doing it really tough. Yeah, and it's not like I've ever been like a club comedian or like been. I mean, clubs have been really nice to me and given me like encouragement and stuff. But like in Australia, there's so few comedy clubs and there's so many TV comics that really you're either got millions of YouTube followers or you're like a household name, been on our version of the Letterman show 20 times. So there's not really, doesn't make any difference to me because I was never really included or in that thing anyway,
Yeah. And that's what we keep coming back to with other comedians is there's it's almost like the middle class in America, right? There's a large amount of people that are not middle class there's a large amount of people that are middle class, but there's a small amount of people that are poverty and a small amount of people that own a ton of wealth.
Yeah.
But those two ends of the spectrum would be, you know, the ones that don't own a lot of wealth will be your open micers, and the ones that have a lot of wealth will be the ones that are on TV and famous and headliners. But the people who are in between those, who are trying to make money but can't, or want to get spots but can't, that's what we're going to see shrink. So you're going to see a large amount of open micers and a large amount of those people that be on TV. But the rest of us who don't have those credits and don't want to be open micers, what are we going to do? That's the thing that I keep hearing a lot of.
Because I think it's and really just making your own way, which I've kind of always done anyway.
Yeah.
Like I never assumed that anyone was going to help me, or you mean like it's just not really. That's not really how
you're
work.
Being entrepreneurial.
Yeah, like just do your own hustle and just bring up places. Like there's so many places you could do comedy. There's thousands of venues, and then that's what kind of got me into the church thing too. You know, because it's partly just like thinking like what kind of comedy do you do, and who would care about it? You know, and as a clean comedian, it's like, well, you know, the 11 p.m. slot in some comedy bar when everyone's half hammered, it's not really going to appreciate well-written, you know, when the guy before you took his pants off, you know, and you're standing thinking, I don't know whether this is my audience. And so you just think where would like you guys, whoever's listening, like whatever you do, where would it be like most appreciated, and just go there. And it's not easy, you know, like because you're doing comedy with no opener, and you're doing comedy with terribly set up rooms and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it just depends. Do you want to do it or not? You don't want to do it, and then you just got to make phone calls and.
You gotta hustle. That's true.
Yeah,
so where can people find you? And where can they find your material? Where can they find you at on YouTube, stuff like that? What's all your?
Yeah, on Facebook, I think it's Uncle Nath Online / Uncle Nath Online. I've got a normal website, unclenath.com, and then on YouTube, I think it's just Uncle Nath. But if you search for that, you'll find it. And I'm going to do a whole bunch of. I'm thinking like just doing new stand-up material to a camera. It's pretty lame.
I think it's a good idea.
I'm working on new ideas. I got this idea of like I didn't finish high school. I'm dyslexic and I can't read well, so I'm going to do book reviews. and so all I'm going to do is just judge books by their cover. So I've got a whole bunch of books, and I'm just judging them by their cover and just riffing off the cover. And
I can't wait to see this.
On their cover, and then just judging books by their cover.
Luke, that's what he should do. He should do that on TikTok.
That's what I was thinking. That would be perfect.
And I got so I'm going to start doing that. I'm doing the first one. Like today, I'm doing just some more stand-up stuff about when I used to be a telemarketer, and then next week I'm going to drop the first book review. But I think that sort of stuff's probably better suited to YouTube, because just doing stand-up, you just feel like it's just a video of you dying.
It's like by stand-up is what you're saying. Okay.
So even old bits that I'm doing that always do well.
Yes.
When you watch the recording, you're like, this is terrible. It's just so bad. Like, so maybe doing weirder stuff. I noticed, I forget his name now. Some comedian, huge comic, is doing a cooking show. Started doing a cooking show.
I know Preacher Lawson did a cooking show for a while. There is a lot of them coming out that are doing stuff like that. Andrew Schultz started doing like a news segment. So yeah, everybody's trying to do new stuff.
Man, how good is that guy? I only just discovered his stuff, man. But
Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing. For anyone listening, he's not clean, just so you know. But he is amazing.
Out there, these guys swears a lot, but the guy's brilliant. I saw this video about how he's quit being an atheist and become a Christian, and it's just
he's
not become a Christian, but yeah, he's just become like a theist. Like I'm not, and it was just this stuff. It was just so good, talking about how like famous atheists who used to travel the world denouncing Christians as being morons. Guy like died of throat cancer, you know. It's just like God's way of saying, yeah, shh. It's just, but that guy is brilliant. I like him too because he's fearless. He attacks the left and the right, and I just think and what he's doing is just made for YouTube.
He's perfect. No, he's perfect for that.
No,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Luke, where can people find you at?
Luke LaCoy on everything.
All right. And you can go to jamesdcreviston.com. You can find James D. Creviston on YouTube or comedypreneur.com. Don't forget, this is a perfect time for you guys. If you want to do comedy, you want to find a way around it, this is the time to do it. And you can produce your own shows, right? You should be able to find a way to make your own material, make your own stuff. There's so many people out there doing this thing. I know you're gonna be like, well, everyone's doing it, so why should I? That's why you should, right? Because when the game comes back, are you gonna be the guy who, got fat on the sidelines during football season when everyone should have been playing? You should have been lifting weights and working out and drinking your Gatorade, or are you gonna be the guy who's ready to go out there and knock heads, right? So do it, plan, write, work, do all the stuff right now. You have the time. What else are you doing, right? You're going to sit at home, play Grand Theft Auto online for 8 hours a day? Come on, man. Get your life right. Like, do this, all right? Be a comedypreneur. Just like Nate said, you got to be entrepreneur on this. There's nothing given here, right? Comedy clubs are not around right now. Nobody has a place for you to go perform. What are you going to do to better your comedy career? Learn to write jokes. Take some online classes. Buy a master class. Listen to podcasts. Do whatever. Read books. Look, right now, I'm working on a project for a talk show, a news talk show that I'm working with somebody on, and I'm learning more stuff every single day. I don't write those kind of jokes. That's not my material. But guess what? I'm gonna keep moving forward and doing what I got to do. Also, if you like late night writing, grab this book by Joe Toplin. He's a great guy, super cool. Gave me lots of tips before. So just do it, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast. Go check out Uncle Nate. Check out Luke. Check out David Studebaker on TikTok. Check us out on YouTube. Leave in the comment what this show's from. If you can't read that, hopefully you can read it. But know that I'm not an idiot, okay? I do know the difference between Australia and New Zealand, okay? So just so you know. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Bye.
Yeah, we're about to get clean up in here. So clean your mouth out with a bar of soap and get ready for the clean comedy.